Hi everyone. Today I thought I'd share a story with you. Seeing as I was rewatching a video of mine and realized I meant to tell you this story but never told you. So, yeah, he's kind of important. If my cat hadn't flattened him, he'd be a lot more fluffy looking, but that's beside the point. Um, this story is about the time I had to go to the hospital. Ooh, scary. Um, yeah. So it was, I forgot what day of the week it was, but it was a school day. And I got up, got ready for school, had coffee, went out the door, got to school, normal. I'm normal at this point. Nothing's amiss with me. And I talked to my friend for a few minutes, went to class, survived first hour, barely. And then I fell asleep in my second period class. And when I woke up, I couldn't quit yawning, which you would think, oh, you're just tired, you'll shake it off. And that's what I thought too. I couldn't quit yawning, and it got worse. Like, really quickly. I was losing focus. I kept dozing off. Like, I couldn't focus on the 3 triangles my math teacher had drawn on the board. So, I went to a teacher's classroom to see if I could, lay down in there because, someone was gonna come get me. But I had to go back to the other classroom because the other teacher was on a lunch break, but I nearly collapsed on the way there. And, I got back into the classroom and I literally fell asleep on the floor in the middle of the room. I did not care. I don't think I even initially registered I was on the floor. And it deteriorated from there. Like, my teacher, Miss Pamplin, she was real sweet. She's real nice. And she let me stay in there for 2 class periods, explaining to my teachers where I was and why I was there. But then she had to go, so I had to go. So I went to my lunch period where my best friend in the whole world, Molly, realized something is wrong with you. And she was like, Liberty, there is something wrong with you. There is something wrong. And I'm like, no, there's not. I was barely talking. And she takes my phone and she called my sister, my uncle. I think she attempted to call my dad. No, my dad was out of state, I think. No. Anyway, she attempted to call a lot of people, but she called my papa, my mom's dad. So he answers, because he nearly always does when I call. So he says, sweetheart, I know you don't want to, but I need you to go back to the nurse, because I'd gone to the nurse initially, but the nurse said nothing was wrong. And so I went back to the nurse, or was dragged back to the nurse, because I was so asleep. I was asleep on my feet, basically. And so I stayed in the nurse's office. I kind of was out of it, so I don't know how long I stayed in the nurse's office. I remember being cold. I was very cold, but I wasn't running a fever. And so my stepmom got there, and she took me to the urgent care, and I was kind of starting to stutter. And I don't stutter. I have never really stuttered before. And she had this video. She shot a video of me to show my dad, because she was asking me all these really basic questions like, okay, Liberty, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Where are we? What's your name? What's your birthday? Like, she asked me what I had for breakfast this morning, and I had Captain Crunch. I knew what it was, but I couldn't think of what it was called. Like, it was like the one cereal, and she asks me, where we are, and I know where we are, but I'm like, the doctor place, not the regular doctor place, but the other doctor place. Of course, I said all of this while stuttering and incoherently. And so they go to see me, the doctors, I get called back, and they immediately say, we need to send her to the hospital. So, Allie takes me and she drove me to the hospital. And, oh, I was scared. I remember she, went to go grab a wheelchair to bring me inside, and I was praying to God, I'm like, don't let me die, just don't let me die. And then they had to take initial stuff, and it was hard to talk. It was hard to do. Well, it was hard to talk, mostly, for me. And it was frightening, because we didn't know what was going on. But the nurse was asking all these questions that I couldn't answer, because I couldn't talk. And so they sent me for a CT scan, and we had to wait like 3 hours, more than 3 hours in the lobby. And then when we got called back, they hooked me up to all these IV machines, and they were gonna go get me, like, I was gonna have to have an MRI, and my throat was closing up at this point. Like, it felt like it was constricting. It hurt real bad. I was scared, and they came and got me for the MRI, and I was freaking out. While I was in that very loud, very scary, very cold MRI machine, it was like God was saying, just relax, you'll be fine. Because I did. I relaxed, took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and just waited for this very long MRI to be over. And so they wheeled me out of the MRI, and in perfect speech, I said, "Hi, Allie." And they could never figure out what was wrong with me. I'd gotten him at some point during the hospital stay. One of the, not the nurses, the secretaries, gave him to me. I remember I had him and Grumpy Cat in my Eevee doll. I had all three of them. It was funny, because the nurse incorrectly identified Eevee as a Bratz, and I was like, no, I was shaking my head at this point. I was like, And at another point, although I couldn't talk, I wanted to say, I want to watch Frozen when I get home. I couldn't say Frozen. I couldn't say words that started with F, so I was like, Elster! I'm like, I was really mad. And I pressed on. I kept talking for several hours, even though I was stuttering and everything. But, yeah, they never found out what was wrong with me, and praise God, I'm perfectly fine now. And then Willa came the next day. Of course, you've seen that video, maybe. But Willa came, so I got Willa the next day, which was a nice thing, and I've never had to go to another doctor to see what was wrong, because they never figured it out. I think, well, nothing is ever going to be wrong with me like that again. Thank goodness. Yeah, that's the story of the time I went to the hospital. It's kind of the shorter version of it, because if I went into all the detail, you'd be sitting here for an hour. So, I hope you enjoyed hearing my story, and I'll probably tell you guys more stories in the future. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Google+, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!